express how stoked I am of where the sport has started from and where we are sitting all today. And a lot of it has to do with this man's vision of wave riding and sharing that stoke. And I guess to me, like where I see things at the moment, and I guess Joao asked me to speak about, you know, the state of bodyboarding presently, is, you know, there's so many people, especially in this room, like there's, you know, majority of the population in this room understands what it is to ride a wave. They understand what that stoke is and what that love is, that love affair we have with the ocean and just that stoke. And I just see that there's such a potential in the world right now that, you know, for people to get engaged in the ocean and to experience the things that, you know, we take for granted and we love. But I kind of, you know, think back to what Tom Moria, his initial plan was, just to kind of share the stoke of wave riding with everyone. And I think we're kind of at an era now where it just seems like there's so much transition happening in the world with, you know, electronic gadgets and so much stuff to occupy our time. We're losing track of what that is. So I think it's, you know, institutions like this, I think are really important. And also I think it's all of our responsibilities out there, mine, you know, all the people, you know, sitting here, and you guys, everyone, like, we need to be able to share that on to the next generation and the people around you. You know, I was recently in Japan, and I just thought of the amount of population that is close to the ocean that isn't really enjoying the ocean to its full potential, or not at all. And so I think there's a tremendous opportunity and a tremendous potential for more people to engage in wave riding. And to me, probably the best introduction is bodyboarding. It's the easiest way, you progress the fastest. And in so many ways, it's the right vehicle for introducing people to the wave riding experience. So I see it right now really as, you know, the one thing they say is constant is change. And we're going through an unprecedented change right now in everyone's world. Things are happening so fast and they're changing so fast. There's so much disruptive change that, again, I think it's easy to lose sight of it. So it's kind of our responsibility, you know, as we're getting older, myself, you know, I guess I'll speak to myself on that, but, you know, really to pass it on to the next generation and the people around you, you know, try to get them engaged into ocean riding. I don't necessarily have a speech prepared or anything, but what I'd like to do is like engage everyone to just have some dialogue about this, and maybe we can discuss it a little bit.
How do you start to do bodyboarding, and why bodyboarding?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because obviously it kind of, you know, it's that initial spark, right? And so growing up in Hawaii, you know, there was waves where I was, and it was kind of a natural thing to do and get into. So my dad would take me to the beach, and, you know, whatever we could use to catch waves and ride waves. You know, sometimes we'd even body surf. And he just would explain to me, you know, hey, you got to go, you know, catch it like this. And so, you know, I'd catch waves, and just that feeling you get, you know, when you're under the power of Mother Nature, when you're catching that energy for the first time, and you're taking that free ride, you know, it's life-changing. It was for me, you know, and it's something that I was like, wow, this is incredible. I got speed, and I'm, you know, I'm flying. And that sensation was to me just like so special. And I think that, you know, everyone here that rides waves understands that. And I just think it'd be really cool if we could share this with more and more people. So I started with, you know, real basic, you know, just whatever would float, catch waves, ride waves. And just at the local beaches my dad would take me to. So okay. that was it for me.
Mm-hmm. Even the speakers, if you have questions, you can do it. Huh?
Yeah.
Não sei se há mais alguma pergunta, estejam à vontade. Este é o momento de, pronto, também nós partilhamos aqui experiências e... In English? Okay.
Yeah, Louis.
So what do you think the reason is why surfing over the last decade or so has gotten so much bigger than bodyboarding?
Yeah, well, the last decade in particular, I think you're thinking about the WSL in particular, I would think. So, you know, the WSL to me is like an experiment, it's an expensive experiment. I think they spent up to $100 million up until last winter. And I'm not too sure. I'm fairly confident that they haven't seen a return on that. So with that kind of cash and capital pushing behind it, it's kind of like what we went through with the APB when Greg Taylor was involved, and he injected cash, and we started like, whoa, look at this. I think the challenge for us is to come up with creative ideas, and I say that bodyboarders are some of the most open-minded wave riders that I know of, and we come up with great ideas, and we just need to collaboratively come up with some ideas to kind of look for that next thing, whatever it is, in wave riding competitions. And things are changing. They're changing very quickly, and I think we can lead the way in a lot of ways. So I'm keeping my mind open, and I'm just trying to like, wow, this is a pretty heavy thing that's going on. But I would attribute it to $100 million infusion of cash, basically, with some investment guys. That's the main thing. I think prior to that, it was fueled by surf companies, and not the surf hardware companies, but the surf clothing companies. That was became $1 billion. I mean, I remember going back to the trade shows back in the early late 80s or early 90s, and it barely filled one of the convention halls. And then you went back like in that peak of it when it was prior to all the social media stuff, and it was like massive. So the whole surf industry kind of got fueled by fashion and the trends of fashion, and so that created big companies, the Quicksilvers, the Billabongs, the Rip Curls. And now, things are changing again, right? So, that building of companies and that infusion into particularly hardboard surfing kind of gave them the one up. We've kind of survived on our own merits, and then as far as like hard good companies, there's no real clothing companies that have really launched and made it huge. So it's been we're kind of like way more grassroots, way more. I love our sport, man. It's so much more core to me in so many ways, because it doesn't have that cash infusion of corruption, basically. Kind of corrupting your mind. You're out there to surf and ride waves and share the stoke. It's not about money. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But in terms of just the overall visual presence of it, I'm pretty sure that's just cash infusion. Yeah, and and smart. They're marketing smart and knowing how to push the buttons to kind of get certain results, and keep that going. Thanks, Louis. Save me. Yeah, Dave.
No more questions. No, all right.
Yeah.
Welcoming people into the sport of bodyboarding and kind of opening up in that respect. How do you see the World Tour and events like the championship here in Vienna playing a role in the public awareness and welcoming people into the sport?
Well, I think what's cool about Vienna, thanks, Dave. You also saved me. No. What's cool about Vienna, this morning I came here waiting for Joao, and a school came in. So it's giving young children an opportunity to see high level technical riding, at their local break. So just in terms of what the Vienna contest represents to me, it's a great just a great demonstration for these young kids to kind of see and look at, and wow, they can aspire to that. Or if they if you only click with a few of the kids, it's still a huge success. Those kids will launch into a life that is wondrous like ours. So I think that it's really a great this has been a great tool for the young kids coming up. And that's the future, that's really the future. And that's something that I think too often we overlook. So we really need to be focusing on the future and that next generation. Thanks, Dave. I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah, thanks.
Okay, if there is more questions,
Yeah, Pierre.
Out of your 9 volts hub, which one was the best?
Oh man. Probably my last one. Probably. Yeah. Hard to say why. Just I think in life, you know, when you're met with a lot of adversity and you don't think you're going to come out ahead and you persevere, you know, there's a great sensation you get when you succeed. And you know, it's just like riding a good barrel. Like if you get a good barrel and it's just super clean and you make it in and out, that's great. But if it's in a barrel that you don't think you're going to make and you're just going as fast as you can, you go, oh gosh, I don't think I'm going to make this. And you do somehow make it. It's a pretty exhilarating feeling. So the last event, there's a lot of things on my mind. You know, I had some relatives that were close to me that passed away, and there's a lot of things weighing on my head, and it was hard for me to focus. And so I'd probably say that last one. But it could be my next one too, Pierre. If I do another one, it'll be that one for sure.
Okay, so Ian, go for it.
Yeah, I think there was one more question there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
How do you feel about Kelly Slater's magical wave?
Yeah, yeah. So I've been involved in wave pools and you know, consulting for them and designing some and being involved in them for a long time. Those currently, well, they're not going to be surfing as we know it. It's just a different thing, you know. There is something about the life in the ocean. Now these things can be replicated, but the life in the ocean, the kind of the natural rhythm of the ocean, you know, through sets and different angles, and you know, I think as good wave riders, we ferret out what those rhythms are, and that's hard to do in those in a wave pool. So I think it's wondrous and fantastic in a lot of ways, but it's also fairly shallow in dimension. So for me, the reason why I stuck to bodyboarding and kind of steered away from traditional sports was it was so dynamic. And I think that a lot of the nature of wave riding is lost in those pools. Not to say they can't do certain things, you know, to make them a lot better. And but it's kind of interesting, you know. It's a really interesting thing. So I kind of like, I have a love-hate thing going right now. Yeah. And until I get to ride it, I don't know. Might have to just yeah. Yeah, thanks for your question. Any other questions, you guys? Yeah, Matt.
Being from Mali, and like my favorite thing to do is stand-up bodyboarding. I wanted to ask, like, how do you feel about stand-up bodyboarding, and do you possibly see it being a world tour event, or maybe being a category in the world tour?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, the thing with bodyboarding is there's no rules, right? So doesn't matter, you know, you're drop kneeing, you're standing on it, you're on your butt, whatever. There's no rules, you know. It's all about like your interaction. You're using it as a interface between you and the ocean, and the, you know. So there's no rules. As far as it being a world tour event, probably if there's more and more guys that start to do it, because that's what happens is usually, you know, even with competitive bodyboarding, there becomes a critical mass, and once that mass gets to a certain point, then it starts, you know, there starts to be a need, and that can be met. So yeah, I mean, if that's your thing, stick to it.
It's just exciting to see that there's kind of a tour event going on in Hawaii, you know, so it's like it's kind of starting back up a little bit again compared to what it was.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, the whole purpose of the tour in Hawaii is to try to like build it again, you know, get that next generation back fueled up again. So yeah, thanks. And congratulations, you guys, for coming over. Super stoked to see you Hawaiians. Finally, Sammy just won the world title. Great job, Sammy. Congratulations. And yeah.